everybody, good morning. This is Jean here. Block party halfway through. I'm rushing around because I'm having to go out this morning, but I just wanted to show you our block. What do you think? Block number 10. I mean, we're halfway through. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm really having a lovely time. I was looking at some of the quilt blocks that have been sent to me on my webpage. Such pretty colors. Really, really pretty. But I wanted to ask you, some of you guys, on block number 8, the heart, my very simple 4-patch heart. I, at the very end of my tutorial, was showing you, or the beginning, or whatever it was, how to put on the snowball corners, the corners to the block, and quite a lot of you didn't do that. And I was wondering, they're beautiful blocks, really pretty, but I was wondering why you didn't put the corners on. Did you think it was too hard, or did you think it detracted? Maybe you could just leave me a comment. No big deal. I think they're beautiful. I liked them both ways, but I was just wondering that. And also, at the end of the day, I was saying to Jen, and you guys, we're making 20 blocks, but you're not putting block 1, 2, 3, 4, and down to 20. You're making your quilt at the end of the day 20 blocks, however you want to configure them. And why I'm saying that is this block in particular is bold, and it has quite a few units in it, in each of the blocks, in each of the squares. Simple. It's half square triangles and a few flying geese. You've done this before, sort of a star, but it's a bolder, more complicated looking block, maybe. But like what I'm saying is maybe next to your heart, which is a simpler look, which is a simpler pattern, when you go to put your blocks together in whatever configuration, on your design wall, your design table, your design floor, you really want to think about having more of a heavy block, which is this one, next to a lighter looking block, maybe with a little bit more background, a little bit airier, and then your eye is pleasing, and or whatever. I don't care how you configure them, but like you want to just think of that design aspect, so your eye travels around in a pleasing manner. So this was my block. It measures 12 and a half inches. I did cut off a few points, and I don't know why what happened there. This one and one down there, but I didn't redo it. I think it's pretty. 3 high contrast fabrics, a background, and I did my black and red, and I actually fussy cut my bits, which you see it's turned out to be a fluke, and my center. You don't have to do that, of course. But again, I'm saying the cutting instructions, I don't go into depth showing you how I cut anymore. I just give you the actual cutting, what you need, because I think the first 5 or 6 videos I showed you how I actually cut. So if you're new to this and you want to see, well, how do you cut with the ruler, go back to my block party, Jean's Block Party 2018, to actually see how I actually physically cut and measure with my rotary cutter and ruler. So this is our block party number 10. I'm thrilled about it. I hope you are. I hope you're enjoying it. I'll be putting this up. Well, you'll be seeing it on Monday, because I've been away the weekend. So thank you very much again for following along. All your support, all your lovely comments. Really, really nice. It just lifts me. I really appreciate it. Okay, folks. Thank you so much, and have fun. Block number 10. See ya. Okay, these are the cutting instructions for our block. I always think it's funny when I'm starting out here like this. I always say you'll have seen the finished block, because that's the last thing I do. Because this is my beginning stage of it, and I'm thinking, I hope it turns out right. That's just so funny. As I was saying in the beginning, or in the end, this is a pattern that you're using 3 fabrics for. You can use a background fabric. I just recommend they be a little bit high, a little bit contrasting. Now I want to show you what I've done. Hopefully I think this will work out. This is what is my background fabric. This white with little dots on it. This black here that I've chosen is my focal square, and then the points off the edge, and these red are like my stars that are coming off, hopefully. So this is, as we've done before, this is the cutting instructions. Now, as you can see, hopefully you can see that I've actually fussy cut my fabric. And I got to show you something. Hold on, it's over here. These are going to be half square triangles, but my piece of fabric, which you won't have, but maybe you have some kind of print, these are actually going to be folded in half. But actually my design, as you can see, is this little medallion, this little circle, the little print. So when I fold these in half to do a half square triangle, hopefully I'm going to have this little design here. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. And this is a 4.5 inch square that gets that is my center square. Oh, did I say that's my center square? No, folks, I'm sorry. This is my center square. The red bit is my center square. And then I did fussy cut that, as you can see. Now, I'll go over the cutting dimensions for you, but I've tried to fussy cut one of these, and it didn't work. It's a little bit hard, fussy cutting a centered, this was a 4.5 inch piece. So, pardon me, this is my 4.5 inch square. These are my points. These are my stars. This is my background. So what you're going to be needing for your center square and then your points that you'll have seen the block to refer to is you're going to need one 4.5 inch square for the very center. Then you're going to need four, for your half square triangles, 4 2 7/8 inch squares. You're going to be needing 4 2.5 inch squares of your red. Please keep referring back to my block. I don't have a block to refer to. I hope it turns out. And then, let me see, I think I got this. Then I need 4 of these 4.5 inch pieces that make like a flying geese when we're doing it. So I need 4 4.5. Now again, we've been working on a lot of different cutting, measuring, fabric selection. Perhaps this week, if you want to try to challenge yourself, or not, if it's too much for you, as you can see, I actually did these 4 4.5 inch with a print that could have either been a plaid or a stripe or a check, and I was very careful, if you can see, to cut my 4.5 inch squares right on the pattern, because otherwise your eye would go, if this was cut off, it's how your eye sees things. So maybe if you have a directional fabric or a print such as this, you might want to challenge yourself. Again, these are being cut off into these are being cut off into the flying geese shape here, but you want to maybe your eye wants to be able to see that entire lovely pattern. So, or this can just be random and it can be an easier block. So you need 4 4.5 inches. This is for the 4 corners, as it were. And then with your background, as I'm saying, you're going to need 4 2 7/8 and 4 2.5 inch. Now, what we're going to do is I'm doing the ironing and the fold and iron, to the fold and press method, to get your line down. There are many quilters who actually, if this was a square, they actually, I'm just pretending, they actually would take a ruler and mark with a pen. Oh, my pen doesn't work. Oh, flipping heck. So I'm messing up. Like this is a scrap, don't worry. Like they would mark that like straight, that's like all screwed up. And then they would cut, they would sew on either side, or they'd sew on the line, whichever flip and stitch method or half square triangle method as you've been doing. So a lot of people do that. They mark it. As you know, I press. I iron to mark our half square triangles and our flip and stitch method, our snowball corners, as it were. So you can, by all means, when it comes to that point, and I'll tell you, if you're more comfortable marking it, not with a black Sharpie, you'll screw up your fabric, you get a pencil or some kind of marking tool and to mark that line. But I'll come to that and I'll explain, but this is the way I've been teaching you, the way I do it, and the way I'm comfortable doing it, and it's absolutely fine. So this, folks, making a long story much longer, this is our cutting instructions for the block. And I don't have a clue what it'll look like. I hope it comes out good. So these are our cutting instructions. I'll leave that up for a second, for a few frames, so you can actually, perhaps just pause and take note of exactly what you're going to be needing to cut. I think we've come along far enough. We're halfway there. You've made 10 blocks. You'll have made 10 blocks, employing all sorts of methods. So this is our cutting instructions for number 10 block. You must forgive me. I forgot to include one more cutting dimension. You're going to need a total of 12 8.5-inch squares. This is, I've done my 4, and I've just had to cut 8 more 2.5-inch squares of our background, as it were, the outside bits. I'm at my ironing board, and what I've pulled from my cutting, as you just saw over my cutting mat, are the 2 piles of the 4 each 2 and 7/8-inch squares. These are going to be making half square triangles. And if you've been following along, you know how we make half square triangles. So with this lot, my background, it doesn't really matter either one. They're going to come out the same. What we do, if you remember, we take our square and I iron it right in half. I'm back at my cutting mat, and our next bit is we're going to be making 4 of these, basically 4 patch blocks. Now, with our, again, you can refer to the finished block, you lucky dogs. I can't. So you take one. We're working with these 2 piles now. We're working with a 2.5-inch squares, 4, and the other 4.5-inch, 4 2.5-inch squares, and our half square triangles. So now we're going to be constructing this little block, which we're going to make 4 of these, which consists of one background, as it were, the outside of this block. That's what I'm calling the background, this outside bit. We're taking one of these, and then we're taking one of our half square triangles, and then we're taking another half square triangle, and we're putting the contrasting bits together. The outside bits are staying outside, this background, as I'm calling. And then we're taking one 4.5-inch. Oh, look, it did work out. Oh, man, I'm clever. I didn't know I was. Look. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, that's so pretty. Yeah, it turned out. So you get it? So your background, or your outside fabric of your 4.5-inch, is on the outside. I'm at my machine, and I just wanted to show you what I do when I'm sewing these 4 patch units together. I've actually done one, and I chain piece these. By all means, if you're comfortable, I keep saying, if you're more comfortable doing one at a time, by all means do one at a time. But what I've done is I've taken my 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've put them together in the order that this seam is going to be stitched. And I've already done one under my needle. So my next one, I'm going to do my top one. I sort of pull up in my if I need to, my presser foot, and 1/4 inch away from my seam. This is how they're going to be sewn. My top bit and my bottom bit. I've been very careful to configure them exactly properly. I take my next 2 from my next block. They're already together. They're nice and nested together. I take that one, my 1/4 inch. I've made sure you can, by all means, I pin them to keep track of them. Then I take my last one, put them together. My squares are nice. Put them together under my presser foot, 1/4 inch. And these are our 2.5. The half square triangles ended up 2.5 inches, and we're matching them up with our 2.5 inch squares. So here's one block. Here's 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and 4. Now, you will see when I open it up that I will go over to my ironing board and I'll press that one, this unit that way, and I'll press this unit that way, and then I can come along and I can just, and again, chain stitch it, make sure they're all nice and ironed. I can nest this seam right together. I can nest that seam together, and then I end up with my lovely 4 patch unit that I've done in just at one sitting. I've not had to get up and go away to the machine. What I will do now is I will go and press my seams. Remember, press one way, the other way, and then finish up with these seams on our 4 units here. Now, what we're going to be doing is I've made my lovely corner block units. I'm just going to put them aside for now. And with the remaining 8, remember I forgot to do that. The remaining 8 2.5 inch squares, we're going to be taking this block, our 4.5 inch squares, and this we're going to be making a sort of a larger flying geese unit. And how we're going to be doing that is you're going to be taking one 4.5 inch square, and then over at the ironing board, what I want you to do again is I want you to either press, iron that fold down the middle, or mark it diagonal to diagonal. After you do that, when you have your lovely creased blocks with that fold, this unit we stitched on either side. If you remember, what we're going to do with this is this time when you have your fold, and I'll be showing you at my machine, we are going to stitch on the fold, as I've said before, perhaps just one sort of thread on the inside here of our unit, just so this allows this block to turn over just lovely and make that corner. So you're going to go over to your ironing board and you're going to iron or mark 8 of your remaining 2.5 inch squares, and then you're going to put them on. Remember the inside, your center of your block to your center of your block. Don't do it like this because you'll get all messed up. Remember, you put your fold, center of the block, and then I'm going to go over and stitch this, and then what we do is with a ruler and a rotary cutter or your scissors, you cut that corner off. You cut that triangle off, having stitched right on the fold, one thread short of the fold. But I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to be constructing this unit here with our background fabric and my this large block, which will make what's called a larger flying geese, this configuration here. And what we want to end up is with a square and then this seam here, this 1/4 of an inch. So I've made 2 of them. I'll put that over there. This is just an aside. I don't really do it, but a lot of people who are very, 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 very thrifty, which is an awesome thing, do. Just an aside, you don't have to do this. I've just finished sewing my last block with my seam there, as you can see. When you cut this off, you have, you cut off some fabric. And a lot of people go, oh my word, there's so much waste there. I get that. So in order to not have that wasted triangle, what people do at this point is I'm not telling you to do this because I don't necessarily do it, but if you want to, it's really an awesome way. You'll see, just a little tip, you've sewn on your line. Now what you do, before you cut anything, you come back and about 1/2 inch from that line over here, you sew another line. Now just watch. All right? So now, it's about 1/2 inch away. You have these 2 lines. So when you cut your 1/4 inch away to make your lovely block, you end up with a little tiny half square triangle. And you've not wasted that material. Now, I've never done this, but I've seen a lot of people, like they put these little tiny blocks in their borders or make a whole block out of it. But that's a way that you don't waste any fabric whatsoever. What you're going to do with your blocks, I don't know. Write and tell me what you do with these blocks. But people are like, oh my gosh, you've wasted so much stuff. Whatever. So I don't necessarily do, but look, that's pretty cool. Like you have all these little tiny blocks. I don't know what you're going to do with them. But like lots of people do stuff with them. So if you want to, by all means, not waste anything, reduce, reuse, recycle, by all means, make these little half square triangles. They are pretty cool. That's pretty cute. Anyway, so that's it. Oh, excuse me. That's another way of not wasting any fabric whatsoever. So I'm going to iron these, my lovely square blocks, and then we're going to put our block together. So now we're going to put our block together. What we're going to do is we're going to take our center block, our center square, our 4.5 inch square in the middle. And basically, again, we're making a multi-pieced 9 patch. We've done this a million times. What you're going to do with each one of these blocks here that we've just done, which are called your flying geese units, with your darker side into the middle, your outside fabric, you're going to put it together like this. Let me see if that's in the frame. Yeah, let me just move it up just a little bit. So again, this is how we always lay our blocks out. Jen was saying, oh, I love laying the blocks out. I'm like, yeah, because you want to get you're excited to see what your blocks look like. This is our 1/4 inch. Our 1/4 inch seam, what will end up looking, and then we take these units, these patches that we've made, and you put them with this bit inside there. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. So there is our block. there's my block all sewn together. And I do have 1 or 2 points that are just at the end. I don't know what I did there. That's all right. They'll be cut off. So I don't know what I did. But I'm thrilled. I'm really, really pleased. It's pretty much 12.5 inches. That point will be cut off. Who cares? I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled, really, really thrilled with it. And I was looking at what I am pleased about. What I managed to do is this pattern is nice and pleasing and straight to the eye. And I was thinking, I should have thought about it before, but I was wondering how it was going to actually turn out. This block here could really be used with a stripe. As long as you cut your stripe really straight, that 4.5-inch piece, you have 4.5-inch pieces. And if you do have a stripe that you're anxious about, you can just cut, because it's sewn exactly like your stripes would all be going the same way. In fact, if I had really thought about it, I would have used a stripe. I have quite a few stripes that I haven't used yet with my fabric line, but I'm really thrilled. I like the contrast. You see, you have to really have 3 contrasting fabrics. Yeah, so there is, and I love my fussy cutting. That by a fluke worked out. So I'm really, really pleased with this block. Cut off a few points. I don't know what happened there. But I'm really thrilled. I'm really thrilled. And I hope you love it. I hope you love this block. It had a few more pieces in it. And again, I apologize for before you had to cut 12 of those bits, not 4. I corrected that. And it's just this is straight, as you can see. It's nice and straight. How that matched up beautifully. I've nested these seams. The back looks just as lovely. These seams are going that way. These seams. So it's a pretty block. It's a real pretty block. And I hope you have enjoyed making it. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see the ones that you've sent me. I think they're so pretty. We are halfway done. Halfway done our block party. You probably laying them out and saying, oh, I really like that. Again, change them up, make your quilt your own. It's exciting. Oh, somebody asked me, do I know what I'm doing as far as like planning this? I don't have a clue. I was just winging it, looking through some magazines, and I came up with this block. So I don't have a clue what this quilt's going to look like. But I'm real thrilled with it. So, yeah, there you go. Block number 10. We're halfway there, folks. Bye.